prices are soaring, and with it, so are beef prices. As promised, Neil Melancon is back to take a look at how much we're going to pay for that burger in this week's Bottom Line.
The Bottom Line is brought to you by the Cotton Board, strengthening the fiber of our industry.
Last week, we talked about the summer picnic survey from the American Farm Bureau and how much more expensive meats were, not only compared to other products, but just compared to a year ago. Driving all of these higher prices for meat is the small national livestock herd like we've been talking about. And in USDA's latest cattle on feed report, we can finally get an idea of just how small it is. The report showed the lowest feeder cattle marketed to feedlots since 1996. We have the smallest livestock herd outside feedlots. That means in the hands of farmers and ranchers since 1994. We have the lowest feedlot cattle and calf inventory since 1973. That's the year I was born, by the way. And the lowest calf crop since 1948. Dr. Chris Hurt, an ag economist with Purdue University, says this drop in livestock supplies is good for prices, but leaves the industry as a whole vulnerable to competition.
The overall point, though, is that the beef industry, we're really probably out to 2017 before we can see additional beef supplies getting to consumers. This gives a very long time frame for the chicken, poultry, as well as pork industry to garner greater and greater market share of that total meat consumption. The chicken industry has had some breeder flock problems in terms of reproduction, but they anticipate having that cleared up and being able to get more chicken into the marketplace to consumers by the spring of 2015. The pork industry is expected to be showing expansion in farrowings this fall. And what that means is more pork coming back to consumers probably by next spring. So I think that leaves the beef industry vulnerable. It also leaves them probably psychologically for producers saying, well, we better wait. We better not be aggressive at expanding until we see how, if we can maintain very profitable prices on beef production.
Hurt added that while these other meats will take market share, demand for beef remains strong both here in the U.S. and on the world marketplace. If there's any good news, is that it looks like we finally hit rock bottom. The way we know that is those low numbers going into feedlots are particularly low for heifers and heifer calves, which are 5% lower than last year. That's a pretty clear indication producers are retaining cattle for the purposes of breeding calves. The bottom line is this is a golden opportunity for Louisiana producers and for producers across the Southeast. Our neighbors in Texas continue to have trouble with persistent drought, and the growers in the Great Plains face competition for land among row crops amid soaring high prices for the land itself. Louisiana has great pastures and now cheap corn to boot. Now is the time to really start growing our herds, and even a year or two from now we will still be getting a premium price for cattle, especially with lower overhead than anywhere else. And Kristen, I know that a lot of people want to grow more cattle, but the problem is that high price at $220 per hundredweight is just so hard to pass up.
I'm telling you, we're in the wrong business. We need to go invest in some cattle.
You're right.
But that about does it for this edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. Be sure to join us next week when Avery Davidson takes us to Belmont, Louisiana, where a dairy farm family is bringing you milk where the cream still rises to the top. Until then, you can watch all of our stories from this show or past shows on our website at twilatv.org. And keep up with what we're doing via Facebook and Twitter. For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for watching. We hope to see you again right here next week.